Port Harcourt's refinery bounces back to life, resumes production of petroleum products.
We're ensuring that all the deposit money banks are getting all the cash that they require.
Again, Central Bank of Nigeria raises NPR from 27.25% to 27.50%. Caution on cash hoarding.
The garden has to be in your home, and you are not selling, and you should give to your neighbors.
Winner of First Lady Project, Every Home a Garden, on the way as final selection begins. Hello and welcome to the Network News. I am Olajide Bello. Remember, you can watch these news live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. Now let's start with the oil and gas sector. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, has fulfilled its pledge of restreaming the Port Harcourt Refining Company, PHRC, signaling the commencement of crude oil processing from the plant and delivery of petroleum products into the market. Lydia Sampson reports.
Wait, it's over at last. Port Harcourt Refinery is producing petroleum products. We've actually gone around the refinery, seen the sample of the products, and finally we're here at the evacuation and loading bay. A serene and joyful atmosphere that resonates with Love Igwe youth leader Alisa Eleme community and host community of the Port Harcourt Refinery.
In short, I'm the most happiest person. As you can see, we have most of the youths that are sitting around me right here. I've already given them an orientation that they will have what to be doing from now henceforth.
Loading of petroleum products, including petrol, diesel, household kerosene, started in earnest, while other products will be dispatched as well. Group CEO NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, described the commencement of the load-out activities as a monumental achievement for Nigeria, which signifies a new era of energy independence.
We are convinced beyond all doubt that without the support, perseverance and patience of Mr. President, we will not have achieved this feat. And all of us must congratulate him because this is his massive pressure that made us to come to this level. And we are very happy.
Chief Executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, and other key players applauded NNPC Limited for the milestone and assured of continued support towards the completion of rehabilitation work at the other refineries.
One thing that we have noticed also is the flare. If we can all see, the flare is very clean. There's no smoke, so which shows that the plant is working very well.
Energy security is key because it powers a lot of our economic activities. And then we're happy.
The Port Harcourt Refinery Rehabilitation Project is an engineering, procurement, construction, installation and commissioning project aimed at restoring the refinery to full functionality and renewal. It has achieved over 16 million man-hours with zero loss. Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu extended his heartfelt congratulations to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, LMPCL, on the successful revitalization of the Port Harcourt refinery marked by the official commencement of petrol production loading today. The President acknowledges the pivotal role of former President Muhammadu Buhari in initiating the comprehensive rehabilitation of all our refineries and expresses gratitude to the African Export-Import Bank for its confidence in financing this critical project. Furthermore, President Tinubu commends the leadership of NNPC Limited's Group Chief Executive Officer, Mele Kyari, whose unwavering dedication and commitment were instrumental in overcoming challenges to achieve this milestone. With the successful revival of the Port Harcourt refinery, President Tinubu urges NNPC Limited to expedite the scheduled reactivation of both the second Port Harcourt refinery, Warri and Kaduna refineries. These efforts will significantly enhance domestic production capacity along the contributions of privately owned refineries and make our country a major energy hub, with the gas sector also enjoying unprecedented attention by the administration. The President underscores his administration's determination to repair the nation's refineries, aiming to eradicate the disheartening perception of Nigeria as a major crude oil producer that lacks the ability to refine its own resources for domestic consumption. Highlighting the values of patience, integrity and accountability in the rebuilding of the nation's infrastructure, President Tinubu calls upon individuals, institutions and citizens entrusted with responsibilities to maintain focus and uphold trust in their service to the nation. In alignment with the renewed hope agenda focused on shared economic prosperity for all, the President reaffirms his administration's commitment to achieving energy sufficiency, enhancing energy security, and boosting export capacity for Nigeria. And I have with me in the studio Adedapo Segun, the CFO at NPCL, to throw more light on the reactivation of the Port Harcourt refinery. You're welcome to the Network News.
Thank you.
Okay, you were the former EVP downstream. What we are celebrating happened under your watch. How do you feel about this development?
Well, I feel absolutely excited about this. It's been a lot of hard work. We've had a lot of people working day and night to get this done. There have been a lot of issues along the way, and which is typical with every process plant. But today we finally streamed the old Port Harcourt refinery. I feel really excited about this.
All right, talking about hitches of the past, NPCL has given many dates that failed, but today isn't one of those dates. Does it mean the refinery has been tested to ensure it's working optimally?
Absolutely. Recall we had actually started streaming this refinery a couple of months back, and we did have an issue, which is, like I said, it's typical of process plants. Multiple iterations, you start it up, raise the temperature, you discover one thing or the other, you bring it down, start again. So we've done that. We've got professionals to test every aspect of the plants, and we're confident that the plant is good to go. And that's why we fired it up, took it to the appropriate temperature, and now we have product coming to tank, which culminated in the loadout that we all witnessed today.
All right, the President made mention in his statement that he would like the NPCL to expedite actions on the Kaduna and Warri refineries. What do you have to say to this?
Well, I really do I have to thank Mr. President, really, because of the trust and support. He really did trust us and gave us all the support we needed to make this day come to pass. I mean, the discouragements have been massive, but he kept us focused on the objective, and it's great that we're here today. Kudos to Mr. President for all he's done, and thanks to all Nigerians who have stood by us all the way. Warri, the second Port Harcourt refinery, which is the 150,000 barrels a day refinery, is work is going on that, and we hope to bring it up also very soon. The same thing with the Warri refinery, and we also are working on the Kaduna refinery to bring it up. And I must say, the Port Harcourt refinery is producing now naphtha, about 1.4 million liters of naphtha on a daily basis, 900,000 liters of DPK, that's domestic kerosene, on a daily basis, 1.5 million liters of AGO, and 2.1 million liters of LPFO. Now it's 60,000 barrels a day, and it's working right now. The capacity utilization is 70%. We hope to ramp it up to 90%. And the product loaded out today was primarily PMS. We take the naphtha that's produced, and we'll blend it with crack C5 that we obtained from the Indorama petrochemical plants, the former LMA petrochemical, which is a sister company. And we blended that to get the specification of PMS that's appropriate for this country. So the product is on spec. The NMDPRA, the regulators of the downstream sector, were there today, and they witnessed loadouts of on-spec PMS.
Okay. I know you have much to say, but very briefly now, just before you go. Now, will these developments translate to lower pump price for Nigerians?
Typically, proximity is key because one component of the cost of PMS is transportation. Now that the Port Harcourt and its environs has plants that's operating in that area, there should be a marginal decrease in the cost because of the proximity, lower cost of transporting it to the end user. So there should be a marginal decrease in cost.
All right, many thanks, Adedapo Shegun, the CFO and NPCL, for throwing more light on the issue being discussed on the news tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, and away from the oil and gas sector, the newly elected governor of Ondo State, Lucky Ayedatiwa, was today at the presidential villa to present his certificate of return to President Bola Tinubu. The governor, who came alongside his deputy, Olaide Adelami, thanked the president for providing a level playing field for the election in the state. He also appreciated his colleagues for their support, security agencies and other stakeholders in the electoral process. After the November 16 election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, declared APC candidate winner. The incumbent governor polled 366,781 votes to defeat his closest rival, Agboala Ajayi of the PDP, who got 117,845 votes. And speaking to State House correspondents, the governor says he is now ready to fully face the business of governance. And Vice President Kashim Shettima has reaffirmed the federal government's dedication to advancing gender equity through transformative policies. He stated this during the Hanaido Didiolu Awolowo Foundation webinar in commemoration of the 109th posthumous birthday of Chief Hanaido Didiolu Awolowo, wife of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. The Vice President emphasized the indispensable role of women in building a balanced and equitable society, calling for a renewed national effort to create an inclusive society where women are empowered to lead and thrive.
Responsibility as policymakers is to ensure that women are not only represented in our political and social spaces, but also empowered to occupy leadership positions where they can influence and make decisions.
I believe that the key to addressing these challenges can be found in the inspiring example and the legacy that Yeye Odua HID Awolowo left for us. Her unique balance of grace and grit and her commitment to hard work and public service exemplify the transformative power of women.
Their legacy is not meant to be confined to history books or family stories. It is a legacy that demands to be shared, understood, and applied in Nigeria and beyond.
Vice President Shettima paid a glowing tribute to late Chief Hanaido Didiolu Awolowo, describing her as a matriarch like no other and a jewel of inestimable value. He urged the Nigerians to honor the legacy of women like Hanaido Didiolu Awolowo and embrace a collective responsibility to empower women. Vice President of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, is calling on leaders at all levels to imbibe exemplary qualities of unity, justice and selflessness to promote good governance to position the country on the path of greatness. Senator Shettima made the call at the executive session in honor of the late Wantari Paul Unogo at the Government House, Makadi, Elias Itiav Hasmo.
It is in continuation of the 5-day funeral rites for the frontline politician, social crusader and activist, the late Wantari Paul Unongo, that the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, is in Benue State on behalf of the federal government to convey their condolences to the family and the people of the state over the loss. The Vice President at the executive session held at the Government House, Makudi, described the deceased as a selfless and courageous leader who stood for unity and good governance. While calling on leaders to emulate the virtues of the late Paul Unongo, Senator Shettima urged all leaders to always seek to fulfill God's purpose for their existence.
A nation endowed with the role models who inspire by their actions rather than their words. Principle. is powerfully demonstrated in the mere currency image. It is a currency that builds trust, fosters unity, and gives a legacy that no one can project.
Dr. Hyacinth Alia, who appreciated everyone for making out time to pay their last respect, the late octogenarian, also thanked the family for adhering to his wishes, even in death.
Thank you and our dear President so much, who have honored the state, have come to give great respect to not just a friend of the nation, but a statesman of our great nation.
Sympathizers in their various orations acknowledged the qualities of the deceased. The remains of the late Wamtare Paul Yopunongo will be laid to rest on 30th November 2024 in Kwale local government area of the state. In Makudi, Elias, Etiaf, NTA News.
And to bilateral relations, President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja on Wednesday to begin a state visit to France in honor of an invitation from President Emmanuel Macron. Nigerian leaders' three-day visit, which will focus on strengthening political, economic and cultural relations and establishing more opportunities for partnership, particularly in agriculture, security, education, health, youth engagement and employment, innovation and energy transition, promises significant benefits for Nigeria. President Tinubu and his wife, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, will be received on Thursday at the 350-year-old French Military Museum, Les Invalides and Palais de l'Élysée by Macron and his spouse, Brigitte, for initial ceremonies that will dovetail into bilateral meetings. During the visit, President Tinubu and President Macron will harmonize positions on stimulating more interest in exchange programs that focus on skill development for youth and improving their competencies in automation, entrepreneurs, innovation and leadership. Both leaders will participate in political and diplomatic meetings highlighting shared values on finance, solid minerals, trade and investment and communications. They will also witness a session by the France-Nigeria Business Council, which oversees private sector participation in economic development. Brigitte and Nigeria's First Lady will discuss the latest passion for empowering women, children and the most vulnerable through the Renewed Hope initiative. President Tinubu and his wife will be hosted at a state dinner by the French leader before their departure. You're watching the Network News. More reports. Thanks for being there. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says it won't hesitate to sanction banks and agents holding cash as it remains committed to addressing cash crunch witnessed across the country. At the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the CBN Governor Olayemi Kadoso said the committee voted to raise monetary policy rates by 25 basis points to 27.50% to further tackle inflation.
With inflation continuing to erode purchasing power and undermine economic growth, the Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee is meeting for the 298th time to tackle inflation, which has persisted at 33.88% in October. In considering recent economic and financial developments, the committee noted that cost of petrol has continued to have a negative impact on cost of production, urging monetary and fiscal authorities to deepen collaboration to achieve price stability.
With respect to cash specifically, we're ensuring that all the deposit money banks are getting all the cash that they require. We're ensuring that is happening. We're having regular dialogue between the central bank branches and the cash money center banks all over the place to ensure that that also is happening.
Concerned about persistent exchange rate pressure, the Apex Bank urged deposit money banks to explore measures to boost market liquidity as they focus on stabilizing the foreign exchange market.
We are doing what we can within the limits of market, and in particular the foreign exchange market. And by that I refer to the fact that we appreciate that many times some distortionary elements come into a market, and that is why we as regulators, that's what we are there for. So we're on top of the game.
The committee retains cash reserve ratio at 50% for deposit money banks and 16% for merchant banks, liquidity ratio at 30%, and asymmetric corridor at plus 500 and minus 100 basis points around the MPR. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Speakers at the second edition of the Nigeria Politics Online reports agree that Nigeria's biggest challenge to development is revenue shortage and spending. Benny Adams reports that the speakers recommend strategic application of funds for economic growth.
Speaking to the theme, revenue generation, infrastructure progress, options in a challenged economy, the speakers say there is no better strategy to solving Nigeria's revenue challenge than the present tax bills at the National Assembly, which they believe is key to unlocking Nigeria's revenue potential.
This law that is still going through the National Assembly in various discussions is, in my view, the best that anybody can give to this country at this point in time. Shortage of infrastructure in the road sector, education sector, in the health sector, security and all that. The crises are there. And you have a government that is so determined to change the course. But where is the money coming from?
While Nigeria's revenue collecting agencies have declared revenues that reflect annual targets being surpassed in the first 3 quarters of the year, speakers here say application of these funds remain the issue.
A man who runs a barber shop, for example, if he's not careful, he might not make ends meet. If he spends more money buying fuel to run the business.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service believes that the country needs new taxpayers, a strategy that focuses on expanding the tax base to include more individuals and businesses.
Taxpayers who are gainfully employed, who are involved in some kind of business, to be able to pay the taxes. So we do need new taxes. But this administration knows also that we need new taxpayers.
The speakers also recommend exploring alternative financing options to include leveraging green financing, bonds, and other long-term finance instruments that can provide Nigeria with the necessary funds to drive growth and development. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Joining me in the studio to talk on the outcome of the CBN Monetary Policy Committee meeting is Professor Uche Waleke, Professor of Capital Markets. You're welcome to the Network News.
Thank you so much.
All right, Prof, how impactful is the recent 25 basis points increase in the monetary policy rate to 27.50% in addressing inflation and economic stability?
Well, to begin with, I think it was expected. Talking about the level of impact is rather marginal, just 25 basis points. For me, it's just a signal on the part of the central bank to say that they are still committed to fighting inflation, considering that the price pressure has resumed the upward trajectory. We saw inflation increase in September. Headline inflation also increased in October to as much as at 3.8%. And there is also this pressure in the forex market. So all that the central bank has done, in my view, is simply to signal that they are still committed to fighting inflation. And that's why you found that all 12 members who attended the MPC, voted in favor of just raising it marginally. Of course, it's an indication, again, that there's a level to which, you can't, raise the MPR. So it's just a signaling thing that they have done.
All right, Prof, talking about commitment, what more can be done to stabilize the forex market despite higher foreign reserves?
Well, let me even start with the foreign reserves, and that's also where I will, make these points by way of advice to the central bank. Today we have reserves that are in excess of $40 billion, we have been told. Enough to finance up to 17 months of imports. Okay, so I think, yes, in addition to having reserves as buffer, just as the central bank governor mentioned, I also think that it is time we began to use, some of it to intervene in the forex market. As far as I'm concerned, we can't leave that market completely, at the mercy of market forces. To argue, for example, that the markets will, operate optimally. The demand and supply will determine the price of the naira, which is the exchange rate. I think we are at a level of development where the central bank, we need to intervene from time to time, and that's for me even the primary reason for having reserves. So the more we have reserves, the more we have this accretion to reserves, okay, we should be able to use that to stabilize the exchange rate and possibly even bring down the exchange rate or strengthen the value of the naira.
All right. Many thanks, Professor Uche Waleke, Professor of Capital Markets, for your input on the outcome of the MPR on the Network News.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, moving on, the immediate past executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FRS, Mohammed Mani, says the proposed amendments of the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill offer a different position that emphasizes fairness and more equitable distribution of VAT returns. Nami, who was also a chairman Joint Tax Board, explains that the proposed amendment is an indication that VAT will now be reported based on the place of consumption, which will ensure that most of the amounts currently reported for Lagos, FCT and Rivers states will now be reported by where the consumption takes place. Nami, in a document, clarified some issues, saying that the reforms offer a different position that emphasizes fairness and more equitable distribution of VAT returns. It says the bill proposed that VAT will now be reported based on the place of consumption, which will ensure that most of the amounts currently reported for Lagos, FCT and Rivers states will now be reported by where the consumption takes place. The new rule, he says, will ensure that places where consumption took place get 60% of the amounts reported for them. Citing examples like if consumption happens in Niger State, the state will receive 60% of the VAT generated from its jurisdiction, while the balance will be put in a VAT sharing pool, which the state will further benefit from. The former FRS boss says such will result in a more favorable outcome for most states when compared to the current regime that favors Lagos, Rivers and FCT, emphasizing that it will more or less redistribute most of the present allocation received by those three states. The Enugu State Governor, Peter Mbah, has presented a budget proposal of 971,081 million naira to the State House of Assembly for the 2025 fiscal year. The budget, tagged Budget of Exponential Growth and Inclusive Prosperity, is for the realization of the present administration's transformative agenda. Chika Ogu has the report.
Presenting the 2025 budget of exponential growth and inclusive prosperity, which represents 86.4% increase from the 2024 revised budget, the governor said the budget seeks to enhance the economy and attract more private investors. The recurrent expenditure is proposed at 133.1 billion naira, which is 14% of the total budget, while capital expenditure is proposed at 837.9 billion naira. The education sector maintained the same status as that of the 2024 budget at 33% of the total budget, amounting to about 320,609 million naira, while works and infrastructure will be gulping about 213.1 billion naira. Other sectors to experience facelifts are the health, agriculture, and transport sectors.
These are budgets of exponential growth and inclusive prosperity. It's engineered to deliver access to quality learning for our kids, to deliver more job for Ndi Enugu is also part of what this exponential growth budget has been designed to do. Ensure better government services and improve quality of life for Ndi Enugu.
Speaker Enugu State House of Assembly promised that the legislators will exponentially consider the budget for approval. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
And moving to the National Assembly, Senate has commended the Nigerian military for its gallantry in combating terrorism, citing last summer's repelling and elimination of Boko Haram insurgents who came in their hundreds to carry out an attack in Kukawa local government area of Borno State. This commendation came just as the Red Chamber received President Tinubu's request for the confirmation of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Oluyede. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The Senate to commend the gallantry of our soldiers and pray that God will keep them safe as they strive to keep Nigeria one and stop the insurgents who are trying to divide the country. May Almighty Allah bless them and keep them while fighting for our cause.
The prayers from the Senate President was in reaction to the matter of privilege raised by the Senate Chief Whip, acknowledging the gallantry of the security personnel following their swift reaction to a security breach in northern Borno.
As a result of the gallantry, zeal, determination and patriotism exhibited by the Nigerian military, they were able to not only repel the attack on that local government, they succeeded in neutralizing half of those Boko Haram that came fully armed, determined to take over that local government.
The Senate thereafter mandated the Committee on Army to immediately screen the acting Chief of Army Staff to pave way for his confirmation. Senate has passed for second reading bill to establish Federal University of Agriculture in Kura, Kano State, and bill seeking the inclusion of 20% of cassava by producers of edible flour.
The use of cassava in wheat can significantly reduce the cost of importation of wheat, which presently stands at over $3 billion.
We can cultivate wheat in the northern part of the country and some other areas, but not like cassava. Cassava is everywhere. It's in a national interest. Look, this is good for us.
If we pass a law, say that cassava flour must be included in flour production, who will implement it?
Meanwhile, Senate has corrected its error of citing Section 147 regarding the removal of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
This resolution affects only the correction of the wrong constitutional citation. Senate resolves to seek the concurrence of the House of Representatives to this resolution in accordance with paragraph 17.3 of Part 1 in the 5th schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Away from plenary, a delegation of the Vice Chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress of China was hosted by the leadership of the Senate towards consolidating existing relationship.
Assist us to ensure that the Chinese government keeps its pledge to Africa during the 2024 forecast to increase its inflow and aid in other aspects to Africa and Nigeria in particular.
China sincerely hopes Nigeria will achieve greater progress on the path of development and reform.
The Senate President last week hosted the newly appointed Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Yu Dunhai. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And meanwhile, President Tinubu has requested the House of Representatives to confirm the appointment of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as the Chief of Army Staff of the Republic of Nigeria. The House at Tuesday's plenary also passed a resolution seeking protection of transmission lines across the country to forestall possible blackout owing to vandalism. National Assembly correspondent Mitaire Ikpen reports.
Lawmakers adorn orange mufflers in solidarity with 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. President Tinubu's request for the confirmation of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as substantive Chief of Army Staff comes with a presidential endorsement.
His qualification, experience and contributions to the Nigerian Army and the nation at large makes him well suited for this very important role.
Towing the line of the Senate, The House passed a resolution to invoke relevant constitutional provisions for the removal of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Umar Danladi, over misconduct.
Forwarding an address supported by two-thirds majority of the Senate and House of Representatives, which shall be acted upon by the President for the removal of Mr. Yakubu Danladi Umar.
The position already taken on bipartisan basis by the Senate should be respected by this salute chamber.
Motions to protect electricity transmission lines and resuscitate an abandoned water resources project in
urge the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation to complete the first phase of the regional water resource project at Owiwi in Ewekoro local government area of Ogun State.
At Ola Akpata in Awoda East local government area of Rivers State, some hoodlums went and vandalized a section of the lines. Or the federal government through the Ministry of Interior to urgently provide adequate security for these transmission towers across the country.
While receiving a delegation of the Chinese National People's Congress, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas pledged legislative incentives that will attract more Chinese investments to Nigeria. There was advocacy for strengthening of the Nigeria-China Parliamentary Friendship Group for robust bilateral relations. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority has advised against merger of government media organizations under the restructuring plan of the federal government for the implications therein. The Director General of the NTA, Saliu Abdulhamid Dembos, presented the NTA's position before the House of Representatives Committee on Restructuring of Federal Government Agencies, which commenced the public broadcaster for promoting national unity. National Assembly correspondent Amina Saidu reports.
The committee's focus is on evaluating functions, restructuring and looking at the potentials of merging several parastatals into more unified bodies.
It's the implementation of our policies. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm hearing your own commission, even though I'm a member here. I participated, but in terms of activity, I'm seeing it for the first time. I don't know their impact. And that's why you have to convince us that nobody can wake up just one day and say scrap, marched without following the due process of the law, amending, enacting, and what have you. That's the essence of we have to listen to every agency that adhere, make submission, then the committee will sit down, put a report, look at the laws, amend, enact where necessary, then push forward for necessary action to be taken.
Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Abdulhamid Dembos, gave an insight on the implications of the proposed merger of media organizations.
The orientation is quite different because television is about what you see and also what you hear. And the orientation has been from inception that the two organizations are quite different. NTA has always been a standalone organization. So I'm of the view, and of course the management is of the view that there is still need for us to stand alone so that we can remain focused and also deliver.
Also in attendance were representatives from Ministry of Water Resources, the National Senior Secondary School Education Commission, the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, the Center for Management Development, and the National Productivity Center, among other bodies. The committee plans to continue engaging relevant stakeholders with necessary steps taken to ensure that restructuring efforts align with broader government objectives for enhanced service delivery. From the National Assembly, Amina Saidu, NTA News.
And away from the National Assembly, in a move to enhance oversight mechanisms, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has nominated 3 new members to fill existing vacancies on the Board of Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB. The announcement was made in a formal letter addressed to the Senate President. The nominees are Fatai Bikunle from Oyo State, Kennedy Peme from Cross River, and Justice Ibrahim Buba, a retired judge of the Federal High Court. It will be recalled that on October 23, 2024, President Tinubu swore in the chairman of the board, Dr. Abdullahi Usman Bello. And President Bola Tinubu extends his best wishes to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on the occasion of his 78th birthday. The former Vice President and PDP presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election has been an active player in Nigeria's democratic process since the return to civilian rule in 1999. The president recalls many special moments shared with the Wazirin Adamawa as founding members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, united in the mission to build a better future for Nigerians, as well as their engagement as political opponents in the last presidential election. President Tinubu recognizes Atiku's commitment to public service and philanthropy and prays Almighty Allah to continue to grant him health and happiness in the years ahead. Now, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu is set to unveil the winner of the Every Home or Garden competition. She announced this after a final selection preview held in her office by members of Renewed Hope Initiative Governing Board, assisted by friends of RHI. To arrive at the winner, a final presentation of the 3 finalists in the competition was watched and graded by the First Lady and the panel of assessors.
Would you say the objective is being realized?
Yes, it is being realized. The garden has to be in your home, and you are not selling, and you should give to your neighbors. So, and that is why we're able to pick our winner today. And we are really glad, and you can see it's justifiable. And the way we did the selection, which was quite fair, you also saw, so it's not somebody saying, oh, pick this and that. We all gave a score. And it's what we tallied that we came up with.
Scheduled, the winner will be unveiled on December 5 this year and will walk away with a prize sum of 20 million naira. The competition was initiated last year by Nigeria's First Lady to drive food production in the country by promoting home and smart gardening. Many thanks for being there. The former governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, is in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Abuja. The head of media and publicity of the commission, Dele Oyewale, disclosed that the former governor arrived at EFCC headquarters at about 12:54 p.m. on Tuesday. The former governor is in the custody of the EFCC for alleged corrupt practices to the tune of more than 80 billion naira. The spokesperson of the commission confirmed that the former governor is currently answering questions from the operatives of the commission. And away from that, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is building relationships with international counterparts to develop affordable housing financing for low-income earners. This was during a courtesy visit by the Secretary General of the International Union for Housing Finance to the bank in Abuja. Bossede Ebo Amusu reports.
With a skyrocketing population, Nigeria's need for housing goes along, and the need for easy access to affordable financing remains crucial. Now, the International Union for Housing Finance is putting on the table viable options, one of which is expected to cushion housing deficits. According to the Secretary General, is the Kazakhstan's housing model, which blueprints can be developed to fit into the Nigerian system.
You have institutions in place which you can develop into this model, which empowers the individuals, the unbanked Nigerians in particular, to save money and or to get affordable loans.
The managing director, Shehu Osidi, says the Federal Mortgage Bank is tagging along with the Kazakhstan's housing model, which is implementable.
This system is simply talking about is that you address the supply side, at the same time you address the demand side, so that you don't end up building houses where people cannot offtake or where there are no offtakers, and then you don't have also offtakers who are also looking for houses that are not available. So this model means that you are going to be building for specific off-takers.
The FMBN says this kind of collaboration is needed to change the narrative of housing deficits and will attract foreign direct investment. This is expected to be realized through networking modalities in delivering affordable housing in Nigeria, especially for low-income earners. In Abuja, Bossede Able.
Glad to know you're still there. Nigeria dominates shooting as athletics, volleyball and other sports continue to deliver interesting results. Let's join Francisca Bile for more on AMGA Update.
Many thanks for joining us on AMGA 2024 Update. I am Francisca Bile.
Let's begin from the main bowl of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, where some track and field events of the African Military Games 2024 have been concluded. Kenya's Bravin Kipto claimed victory in the men's 5,000 meters race, finishing with a time of 13 minutes 51.91 seconds to claim the gold medal. In the men's 400-meter final, Kenya's Boniface Mweresa won gold with a time of 56.33 seconds. In the women's 400 meters, Ghana's Fatau Mairama won the gold medal with a time of 54.90 seconds. In the men's long jump final, Boudaoumi Decherif from Algeria claimed the gold medal with a time of 7.54 meters. In the men's javelin final, Alexander Kiprotich of Kenya won gold with a throw of 72.80 meters. In the women's javelin final, Zunesh Tadese from Ethiopia emerged as the gold medalist with a throw of 44.15 meters. Nigeria's Anajamba Olubube and Ofian Florence took the silver and bronze medals respectively with distance of 29.90 meters and 25.52 meters.
It's been a journey, something we were told like 3 months ago. So it was yet confirmed, but later they confirmed it.
Because we want to win a gold for our country. So I sacrificed myself so that my friend can.
My coach told me I should try, I can win. And this is my bro, motivates me.
At the indoor sport hall, the home of volleyball, Algeria continued their impressive run in the male volleyball event of the ongoing African Military Games in Abuja, as the North Africa side extended their winning streak to day 3 with a convincing 3-1 victory over Kenya.
The event so far has been going on well, without any problems, and you can see the exhibition of talent, in the armed forces across Africa.
In the boxing event at the Velodrome, the concluding matchups featured 25 bouts across both male and female categories. Host Nigeria achieved several victories in the female fight by walkover, while in the men's 60 kg category, Rilwan Lawal secured the gold medal by defeating Dalida Sibiri from Mali with a 4-1 scoreline.
Thank you to Almighty God for giving me a chance to participate in this competition and for allowing me to win this fight successfully.
Away to Shitu Alau Barak Kefi, venue of the shooting event, where Team Nigeria continues to dominate. On day 4 of the competition, the Nigerian shooting team triumphed in the men's 200-meter rifle prone position, claiming both individual and team gold. In the women's event, the Nigerian Army Lieutenant Gloria Okafor got the bronze medal with a total of 182 points. Now let's take a quick look at the medal standings, where Team Nigeria are still comfortably holding on to the top spots. Team Algeria are second on the standings, with the battle for third still open to other teams in the top 10. That's our AMGA 2024 update. I am Francis Kabile.
And that's it on the Network News. Many thanks for being a part of it. Or large day below.